Hello, everyone. I'm going to review DC Finest Superman, the first superhero. This DC Finest is a new line of comics that reprint classic stories of various superheroes. In this case, it's Superman, but eventually they're printing Batman, Catwoman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, and even obscure ones like Metamorpho, Plastic Man. I guess because they might be in a movie soon or something. Um, so this it's it's all the original ones from 1938 to 1940. So in this case, it's actually Action Comics 1 to 23 and Superman 1 to 5. I don't know if it's all of the stories that were in those books. I'm hoping that it is. Um, yeah. So it's which is pretty good. I mean, you really get a sense of the first 2 years of Superman, what kinds of stories there were. They also reprint the original covers. So Action Comics was just a variety magazine featuring comics of the action variety, and they reprint the original covers here. So in number 2, Superman does not appear on the cover. In number 1, he does. Um, yeah. So, and the stories are actually quite entertaining. I thought I might be having a hard time connecting to them because they're such from a very different era, but I found them fun to read and quite fascinating. In these, Superman does not have all of his powers that we know them to be these days. He doesn't have X ray vision and heat vision and cold breath and all that. He has super strength, invulnerability. He can run very fast, outrun a train, and he can jump. It says an eighth of a mile. Um, and the stories are very much in the pick on someone your own size variety. Superman discovers that someone is abusing their power, and he finds clever ways to uh, make them understand that that's what they're doing, or he just directly confronts them and threatens to beat them up. So it's it definitely comes from a noble place, but some of the actions are sometimes a bit questionable. But it's comics, right? It's not meant to be taken seriously. I found this, you can largely read this without looking at the images and just by following the dialogue, which reminded me a lot of maybe what a radio play would feel like. It's all dialogue, right? It's and a little bit of sound effects. Here, the images kind of play the role that the sound effects would have to kind of give you a sense of place. But they'll often uh, kind of announce themselves. So a new character will enter the scene, and they'll announce themselves, or another character will announce them. Oh, it's Clark Kent, reporter. Just to let you know that another character is in the scene. Here, there's even an allusion to radio plays in this story. There's a kind of a greasy guy who's got a plan on making a commercial, like kind of stealing the commercial value of the Superman name by making Superman radio play and Superman ads and various Superman products like underwear and socks and stuff. And Superman does eventually uncover his deceptive ploy, Actually, Lois Lane does, but they get angry at Lois Lane, throw her out the window, and Superman rescues her. They're fun to read. Really fun to get a sense of the sensibilities of the era, the the core aspects of the character, what stayed around, what changed. Yeah, good, really fun and entertaining to read. I love that the original covers are included. Um, so if you look in the back here, it says it reprints 1938 to 1940, but it lists all the years until 2011. Now, how awesome would it be if they did indeed reprint everything, you know, in that, what is it, 70-year period? That would be awesome. But I know that the next volume of this is going to be featuring curated stories from the 1970s. So there might be a way to kind of accumulate most of the printed Superman stories by doing various reprints, but it would be cool if they went for the manga philosophy of volume 1, volume 2, and they just kept going for hundreds of volumes reprinting all the Superman stories. But I doubt that they'll do that. If you're like me and you feel that DC's modern offerings leave a lot to be desired and do not excite you, I would suggest checking out these DC Finest trade paperbacks who reprint older stories that I think you would find better than the modern offerings on the shelves. So, if you got this and you're reading these original Superman stories, let me know what you think. Oh, did want to make a comment. They reprint this on the glossy paper, which these days I believe is cheaper because it's more common. Look at the spaceships, pretty cool. In the early 2000s, they were doing these trades on pulpy paper, which these original stories were, the colors were designed to look a certain way on the newsprint paper it was printed on. So these colors aren't true to the original colors. They're brighter and bolder and kind of more gaudy, a little bit like kind of McDonald's looking. That's the only drawback I find. Now, I don't know about these gradients. I don't know if these existed back then. So I think they definitely did some touch-ups. And the Action Comics of the day was like magazine format. So the format was larger. So you get like a gap at the top and a gap at the bottom to make the book fit into the current, standard format. But still, overall, I still am getting a lot of enjoyment out of this. Each story takes a while to read because there's a lot going on. Many plot twists and a lot of dialogue to keep track of. So this one's $40 American, and it's still, you're gonna get hours of enjoyment out of this book, because there's just a lot to take in, and you can take your time. And I laughed a few times on some of the scenes that I thought were funny, a little bit goofy. Okay, that's it. See you in the next one. Take care.